lot of actors talking about how they felt that the night was robbed of its real, like what the real message behind, or what they really wanted the Oscars to be about, which is a bunch of things. So some were talking about how they were honoring specific people in the industry that were just overshadowed over everything that happened with Will and Chris Rock. And then there was just others that were like, well, you know, we should have talked a little bit more about this as opposed to this. What do you guys think about literally this whole event overshadowing the entirety?
I think it couldn't have overshadowed it because nobody gives a fuck about the Oscars.
No, but the actors were upset. Like, this is their job.
But that's what I'm saying. You're upset. I get why you have the impression that people should have cared, but baby, if this wouldn't have happened, nobody was watching the Oscars.
No, but this wasn't for y'all though. This wasn't for us. Like this, the fact that these
I get what you're saying.
But that's what I'm saying. If it wasn't for us, then how did it overshadow it? Because you still got your award
because
and you got that recognition. Was for us. You know what I mean?
Was for us. That slap wasn't for y'all. That was
for the audience. Yeah. If it wasn't for us, and if it isn't for the audience, then why do you care? Then it didn't overshadow it because you got your moment to accept your award, to get all the, like, you went on with the ceremony. The ceremony still happened. You know what I mean?
Here's the last
point. What you're mad is that people are talking about that and not about the winners. And nobody would have been talking about the winners. Yeah, nobody watches the Oscars. I'm sorry, but I mean, obviously that's like an absolute. There's people that still pay attention, but especially in the last couple of years, a lot of people in the industry, like, I don't fucking watch the Oscars.
Audience has gone down.
I'll pay attention. I might read the nominations, and sometimes, like, I like to look up, like, the ones, like you said, like, there are some movies that people do talk a lot. Like, I really want to watch Coda. I haven't watched that, but I really want to fucking watch that too. So yeah, I can kind of, but I don't watch the Oscars. And there's a lot of people in the industry that stopped following those kind of award shows because they don't represent what they used to. So then what am I watching it for?
Right.
For the spectacle?
I agree.
For the bits, for the sketches, like, that's not what I want to watch it for.
I agree.
If this list is posted on, online anyway, I'm going to find out that I can just read it whenever I want. What am I watching the ceremony for?
I agree 100%. The last point that I want to make about this, and this is kind of like even further, this is like the nosebleeds of this situation. To your point about why is this specific moment so important? Why are people taken to this moment so much that they are coming out and putting other people on blast?
I knew that's what you were going to say.
My man Jim Carrey's getting fucking thrown everywhere just because he said that. Like,
but that's what we were talking about.
Zoe, like,
because people
like, that has nothing to do with this, bro.
I know, but that's where I'm at, where I'm like, where do you stand on your moral ground that you think you have the right to judge someone else? Like, again, if we're talking like from a point of like, we can all understand that was a very irrational response. You see him immediately regret it. Like, not immediately.
It definitely was not immediately. If he's not regret like that.
Right. But you see him regret it. You see him have almost this like breakdown on stage. You know that was a very emotional, like, irrational, impulsive response. You know that wasn't something that, like, I'm sure that he regretted it after. Where do you stand that you feel like all these people who have done far worser things on a moral scale, like, if you want to talk about morals, then you better be able to stand on that fucking high ground.
Except for Zoe was not talking about morals. She all she said was, so we're just gonna go on stage and assault people. That's what he did. That's a fact.
No, I understand that, but you saying, like, her saying that is being like, oh, this is what we're doing now. Like, you're judging that choice, which I understand that she might have an opinion on it. Yeah. But again, you better be able to stand on that fucking high ground. If you're gonna judge someone else's,
I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I think we've all done bad things and we'll still have opinions on it.
I can't tell you that you're wrong for your opinion.
Opinions on it, but it's one thing for her to have an opinion on it. It's another thing for her to broadcast her opinion to the world.
But they're actors.
We're all here broadcasting our opinion to the world.
And if somebody,
I know I've done some bad shit in the past. Like,
100%. I know y'all ain't got receipts for me though. So fuck out of here.
if I'm gonna be a dick, I know that I've done bad things. I have not done bad things up to the level of slapping somebody in the face, and I have not done bad things up to the level of preying on a 14-year-old. So I feel pretty comfortable being like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. I know that I haven't done that or worse.
I do think though that we're talking about us as the spectators of like what's happening out there in their world, because at the end of the day, we're going back to the fact that this is their job. Like being an actor, being somebody that's in the limelight,
commenting on other people's events, or it's not though.
Well, no, but it's their job. So as people who are in the same job, like for instance, my particular job is very niche specific. That if I were to hear about somebody doing something in my job, I would have the right to talk about like you should not have done that, but neither one of you could say that because y'all are not in that job specifically, and my job is very, very specific.
Sure.
So you know what I mean. I
think she could have said it. It might have been a little coy saying it like, oh, like. You know, like,
I feel like we're just gonna go on. What I'm trying to say though is, it was unnecessary. Nobody had asked your commentary on it. Well, and again, if you want to comment on it, you can. But then people have a right to question your morality and your right to question.
That's the thing, though.
It felt like people were bringing those things up just to be distracting. I read those things and immediately dismissed them, not because they may or may not have been true, but that's not what we were arguing about.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
well,
all right,
sure,
whatever. Like,
but I'm going like you're going back to the argument as like you're not really arguing with Zoe Kravitz or with Jim Carrey.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you're just like, hey, this is what we were talking about. I think a lot of people are saying y'all are trying to take sides on something that nobody has asked you to take sides.
But by saying that, you take a side because.
Why?
Because if she says, oh, we're just assaulting people now, that's clearly Team Chris Rock. And anybody that says, oh, you're going to stand on a high ground is clearly Team Will Smith.
Not necessarily.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Because it's going to come off like that. If you saying something like, oh, we're just going to go assaulting people now, automatically puts you in Team Chris Rock. You negating that automatically puts you in Team Will Smith. It just automatically does it.
I think that's just I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think, again, people were just saying, hey, this is not like already this is a very divided issue. Mm-hmm. And again, as a celebrity, you are held to a higher standard. You need to watch what you're saying. That's not to say that you cannot have opinions, but it's like there's things that I might discuss on this podcast that I feel comfortable talking about, that I feel comfortable giving my opinion. There's certain things that I might talk with my friends about, that I might talk with you off the mic, that it's nobody's fucking business what my opinion is not. My opinion is not needed on that issue. Even on this, like, I wouldn't say that our opinion is needed on this issue, but you know, like, it's part of like the podcast, whatever, like that's what we're doing. But our opinion is not gonna really make, like, we're not making a statement. Sure. You know what I mean? We're not adding something to the conversation. We're just having a conversation and we're talking about it.
Yeah, it's
when you're a celebrity, when you're in that same circle, you are making a statement and you're taking a stand on a very polarized 100%. Issue. And again, people have the right to be like, if you want to go and check other people's morality, then you be ready to get yours checked. Right. And I don't think that's unfair.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. I don't think that's unfair. I just think it was unnecessary. Like, I mean, you can question anybody's morality at any time. If you feel like you're losing the argument, just question somebody's intentions or morality, bring up some shit to distract everybody.
I feel like morality is just a gray area for you.
Well, yeah.
Because morality is a gray area.
But it's a distraction tactic. Like, she made a point that it was assault, but people didn't want to hear that. Yeah. Let's bring up her shit.
Yeah.
Oh, people no, he made a point to say that he disgraced the academy. Oh, people don't want to hear that, so let's bring up his shit. Like, well, because again, all the tactic is distraction from the actual thing. You don't like hearing what we're saying, so we're just gonna throw you under the bus. I don't necessarily
think that's true. I just think, where does Jim Carrey get, like, where are you, like, who are you to say, like, oh, you disgrace the academy? Didn't you disgrace the academy? Like, you know what I mean?
Did he disgrace the academy?
I feel like, well, I think that's the point that people were trying to make, is you're trying to sit here and act like you are so much better than this one event, which I am, again, like, it was a bad event. People are entitled to their opinions and whatever. at the end of the day, like, should he have done that? No. But if you're gonna stand there and judge openly, take a position against that person is wrong, that person needs consequences, that can never happen again, then people have the right to be like, well, what right do you have to judge them for it? Where does your like credit? Where's your merit to do that?
And I think her point is he's an actor,
wouldn't the
and
fact
he values
that he's an
that
actor,
institution.
they're both veterans. All three of them are veterans in the entertainment business.
Who three of them?
Zoe? Oh, I
All
don't
of
know
them.
Zoe.
Every
I know
single
Jim.
one
I
of
know
them.
Jim is, but I don't know Zoe like that.
Chris Rock, and Will, and Jada. All
Sure.
of them
Yeah.
they're veterans in this shit. Like veterans. They were in this shit before a lot of us were born. So
Literally.
Yeah.
like
They got
quite
married the year
literally.
before I was born.
So at the end
For
of
real?
the day,
Wild.
I
Wild.
am nobody to talk about Will Smith and Chris Rock or even Jim Carrey. I'm way less qualified to talk about any of them than Jim is about them. Because Jim is actually in their industry, has been in the industry probably just as long, if not maybe longer. I don't know how old this man is.
Sure.
But also...
And that's where his credit
they
lies,
are
yeah.
part of the academy. So they are part of that only selective amount of people that are allowed to even just say, like, I am a part of this. I'm not a part of that. I probably will
Sure.
never be a part of that.
But our
So-
opinion doesn't have an effect on that issue.
No, but
I don't think there's either.
I don't think there's either at the end of the day.
being
But
opinionated.
I think if you have that kind of like social blade, I can't believe I just used
that's
the
the
word
thing. Though,
social
like, it has an
blade.
effect on us. It has an
know?
effect on us as the viewers because
Right.
you are upset that he had the audacity to talk about something when he's a flawed human. At the end of
Right.
the day,
When in terms of-
But
in
couldn't
terms of
you make the argument that Will Smith is also just a flawed human?
Yeah,
then?
no, yeah, and that's what people are saying.
But that's
now.
not. But also a lot of people are not. You
I
know
know.
what I mean? That's
A lot of
what
people
I'm
are not
saying. It's
flawed?
like,
But that's
no.
the thing,
A lot of
though.
people are saying like he should have never done that instead of being like, well, you know, like he's a person and he made a mistake
Right,
and he
right.
shouldn't have done that.
I know,
but also
but
let's
again,
not
that
crucify
goes-
him
that
about
goes
it.
But
back-
both those things could be true at the same time.
and both those things can be true about both Chris and Will, though. That's where a
Sure.
lot of people are.
And I
are
don't know,
having
to
that
your point
idea.
about Jim Carrey, I don't know if he disgraced the Academy before. I don't know what they brought up, right? I dismissed it because I was like, that's not what we're talking about, so I'm not even going to pay attention to that. But I don't know if he did. If something is happening, I don't know if he got any consequence for it or whatever. In terms of redemption,
I don't think it was necessarily the Academy. I think just
let's
in
just
general
say
in
let's just
Hollywood.
say he made a mistake. He got some repercussions for it, or maybe not, or maybe this. Doesn't change the fact that now he knows that should happen. Like it
Does
doesn't.
he, though?
It
We don't
doesn't-
know that.
exactly. So then, how do you know that he doesn't? If you're gonna assume that he
Right.
does,
I'm
how
not-
do you know
but
that he
we're not
doesn't? If you're gonna
assuming
assume
whether he does or doesn't. We're
You're-
assuming you did this once. You have made mistakes once.
Right.
And I'm sure that
And-
you would have wanted people to have the grace of treating you like you are a human who made a mistake as opposed to going publicly
Sure.
and like
Maybe.
going against you.
But maybe that's not what happened. Maybe he got a
not.
consequence, and maybe he's like, "Yo, if it happened to me, it should happen to somebody else."
I don't think he did.
I mean, I don't know. I
But
don't
we
know
don't
what
know
happened.
that though.
But
Again, it goes back to us not knowing anything about their circle
and
of.
the point that I
consequences.
was gonna make about that is that like people, or the point that I wanted to harp on and just kind of lean heavily on is like holy shit. To your point, this is such a nuanced, deeply layered thing that people are coming and making statements. You can very, very safely say they lean towards one team or another. And other people are coming in and just attacking that person when that's not even what we're talking about. And it's wild. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Maybe, at least not that I'm aware of. I don't pay attention to scandals like that.
I think it sort of happened
I
with
feel
like,
like
the Kanye and Taylor thing. It happened a little bit.
Maybe,
a
I don't
little
know.
bit.
A
I mean,
little
I
bit,
feel
but not
like it's
nearly
a
to
part
this
of like
extent.
fan culture too. You
Yeah.
know, I just think, and I think it's a big part of like Twitter specifically.
Maybe.
I think Twitter is pretty big on like taking sides.
But it
in
is
issues.
wild. It is wild because it's
It is
like
wild because also I was like, bro, I had never heard of some of these like issues because there's like a list. Like it wasn't just
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz and like Jim Carrey. You
Apparently.
know,
Yes.
it was
Right.
a list.
And that's the
and
thing
I
I'm
was
talking
like, bro,
about. I'm like-
were y'all just sitting on this information and just like storing it? That's crazy.
that in and of itself is wild. But also just thinking about it, like, man, like, so what a distraction tactic on like to get everybody's mind off of it. But also, like, if you like drama, this must be fucking great for you.
I was losing my mind.
E News, TMZ, like fucking feed the beast. Like, you know what I mean? Like anything, y'all got more? Bring more. Like, you know what I mean? In terms of like drama
I
culture
think
and
the
shit like